gaunt, mate. It's so good to see you. Look at that shining, smiling face.
Dude, my man, literally, it's like I don't recognize you. And I do you know what? I've got to put my glasses on. That's how long it's been. I'm that old now that I needed glasses. I'm late because I was on my Zimmer frame getting down the hallway. It's been a minute.
For me, I needed to sort of remind myself how to put the equipment together. I was like, wait a minute. Where am I going to are we going to FaceTime on a phone and record on them? Like, how do I plug my mic in?
What was the last text message I sent you?
Exactly that. Where do I plug my mic in?
I said, the fuck do I set up a microphone?
Yeah, so it's been since I think April was our last one, and we came close to recording in the summer. We came close to recording in the fall. We have not come close to recording in the last couple of months, but I thought we have got to get one in for the end of this year. And you can tell how excited I've been because I know this is your favorite. I've tagged you in approximately 50 different photos of Porsche 911s with a Christmas tree on top. And on that note, welcome to Curb Canyon.
Perfect cold intro.
Oh, I love it. You know, so as I was tagging you in all of those posts with, Porsches with Christmas trees on, I was getting steadily, how did you say it? Like more and more excited and more just, I couldn't stop laughing. And Ruthie was sat next to me on the couch and she's like, seriously, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Yeah.
No one can appreciate this apart from Mandy.
Which you sound like, so my friend Kale has finally discovered AI, and so for the last 48 hours he has just been taking every photo that's ever been taken of any one of our friends on any drive and making it do crazy shit like dance and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, good to know the AI bots now have every one of my friends as avatars they can use for deep fakes and kidnappings.
You know what? Well, okay, I haven't gone quite that far, but when we did Tale of the Dragon this summer, I think it was Tale of the Dragon, where my friend Mark, who goes with us all of the time, him and his son, he got me onto ChatGPT and got me onto AI. And since that time, I've become like an AI professional. And
I'm the same.
I'm all over it. However, I use it for good. My mate Chris, Catman Chris, with his 11 cats and his GT3 touring.
Hold on. How many cats does he actually have?
10, but I always get it wrong and say 11. Dude, we'll come back to that in a second.
It's 10 cats.
We'll come back to that in a second.
Oh, man. Chris, we need to talk.
I know. Anyway, we'll come back to that in a second. But he's using AI, a little bit for good, but, every couple of days, you can be pretty much guaranteed there'll be some kind of comedy AI photo involving, I don't know, Jay Reid's head and, something that I won't repeat, or, hey, I'm going to put my car on the moon. I'm going to put my car wherever it is. So anyway, there we are. But yeah,
Chris, you know what? When the Terminators come for us, Chris, they'll say, Chris, come on in, mate. You're cool. Bring your cats.
Dude, I saw a meme the other day with somebody walking past a Terminator, and the caption was, "Oh, he's fine. We're going to let him off. He says thank you." Like, do you ever say thank you?
Yeah. Yes, I'm that guy too. I say thank you, which apparently kills a hectare of Brazilian rainforest every time I say please and thank you.
Yeah, but when Skynet rises, they'll let us off.
Yeah,
they're the polite ones.
Oh,
yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Well, dude, so look, we're here to talk about Porsche, right?
We are, because I don't want to sit here having a doomer conversation about AI. and actually, so I was sitting there in bed and I was thinking, okay, what typically happens when we've not recorded for a while? Because you do get into a rhythm, right?
Yeah.
And so I want to apologize up front if James and I talk over each other. That's the one thing I always find when we haven't done it for a while. We always talk over each other. Whereas when we've been doing it a lot, we're very, I don't want to say professional. I think that's over the top.
Tuned in.
I mean, do you know what? I got to be honest. When you did the Welcome to Curb Canyon, I was like, oh, thank God he thought of that. I'd forgotten we even do it. But the other thing we usually do is have show notes, which I usually meticulously prepare. And yesterday we went about that a little differently, didn't we?
We did. We exchanged a few text messages. And to be honest, I was actually expecting you to pull a very nice professional copy of show notes out of your ass overnight, but nothing.
No. I've got the first one I can see in my text message chain is Porsche Files Chapter 11.
I know, right? I mean, so, there's stuff to talk about with Porsche itself and what on earth is happening in Stuttgart. You've done what now? Your Alpine
Range Rally
12 times?
12. Just did it last weekend.
12.
Yeah. And you've done a Tail of the Dragon trip.
I've done Tail of the Dragon. I think I've even done Black Hills since our last podcast. I think that went out just before we went to the Black Hills. That was a great trip.
So we're going to talk about those trips. We're going to talk about what's happening with your car. I just saw images of it on Instagram or Facebook even yesterday and thought, damn, that's looking good. We'll talk about the 964 and the bits that broke. We'll talk about who I let drive my 964. Let's hold that till the end. I mean, holy shit, what a moment.
Yep.
Ooh, terrible.
We'll definitely talk about that. And if we had show notes, I'd probably be able to try and figure out what video of the week is. But I'm going to hope that you're going to pull that out of the bag.
I got it. Don't you worry about that, my friend. Don't you worry about that. So why don't we start with talking about the drives? Because we've both had some epic ones. Tell me about the Black Hills.
So the Black Hills.
Hold up. Are you drinking Red Bull?
No.
Max Verstappen.
I've stolen one of my wife's lemon flavored Spindrifts. Do you have this in Australia? It's like a sparkling water, and I thought I almost went for the big gulp. I know how much you appreciate the big gulp, but this is all I could get in the time I had.
Yeah, well, I know you do. That's great. That's good.
Well, so the Black Hills, in many respects, it was like an absolutely fantastic trip. In other respects, it was a little bit disastrous because we took off right as spring was ending. Well, where were we? No, we kind of like spring was a few weeks in. We were just winter was ending. Spring was a few weeks in. In the Twin Cities, all the snow and ice is melted. Now we weren't going as far as the Rocky Mountains, where there is definitely snow. I mean, even all the way up until June. But we were kind of sort of right on the cusp. I took my winter tires off, put the summers on. It was nice and warm. One thing that happened, we got snowed in on one day. So we're all there with our summer tires, and we had 3 days in the hills, and one of them was just spent dicking around in the cabin because we couldn't leave. But on the way there, my mate Patrick, who's got this beautiful silver first generation 997, he's also the guy that worked on Project 996 with me. With Bluey. He hasn't been to Tail of the Dragon in a couple of years. He's been really busy with his business. And this was a lot closer. It's only like an 8-hour trip to get to the Black Hills and Mount Rushmore and all of that than like a 2-day trip to get to the tail. Patrick was like, I'm in. I've got the car out of the cover. I'm ready. I've done maintenance. We didn't even make it to the Black Hills. And his serpentine belt came off the what are they called? The cogs, whatever. The spinnies.
The spinnies. That's it. It's the spinnies. I recently called my Porsche dealer. Hey, I need to order a new spinny for my 964.
A spinny Dubry. So we had to pull over, and it was pissing rain the whole way there. So it was a pretty tough trip. Patrick pulls over. Michael Wooten, who's Michael's Motor and Meets, Michael Wooten from YouTube. He pulled over to help Patrick. We got the serpentine, the belt back on. Another 20 minutes down the road, something had gone wrong where the belt had essentially melted onto the 405 pulleys. There you go, pulleys. And so that was it. Patrick was out. We had to push his car off the road to and this is the middle of nowhere. This is South Dakota. There is not a lot in South Dakota at all. So we pushed him off just off this junction outside an abandoned motel. An abandoned motel was like the only thing there. Left his Porsche on the side of the road, drove another 4 or 5 hours to get to the Black Hills. He spent the whole of the next day trying to figure out how to get his car home. So Patrick kind of had a bit of a rough ride and an unfortunate time. The rest of us did some amazing driving. We saw Count Rushmore. We saw Mount Rushmore with some great mountain runs. Thankfully, everyone else did okay with their cars. We got a little bit snowed in. But to top it off, Luke and Adam came with me. I wanted at least one of them to come, but they both came and they did so well in the car. And we talked about cars, and they were asking questions. It was like a really, really fulfilling trip that way. But I think of all the trips we've done in the last few years, in many ways, this was more spectacular than the Smoky Mountains. I mean, it's a different mountain range, so different climate, but it was just nice to do something different, I think.
Yeah, massive. And did the Silver 997 make it back home, or is it up on blocks somewhere?
No, it made it home. We found a guy who's actually connected to our Porsches and Pancakes group, who happened to be out in the Black Hills and had a trailer with him. And he was going to be going back to help his daughter move to college. So we managed to finagle Patrick getting up on this enclosed trailer, got it home. Poor guy. Just, I feel so bad for him. Got it all fixed, and he managed to fix it all himself. But yeah, I imagine it's pretty gutting.
It's always pulley wheels. That happened on Alpine Range Rally 3, I think it was. Our friend Trev with his Boxster. I mean, thankfully it was on the last day of the rally and we were almost home, but this pulley wheel came off. And so we spent 4 hours in this tiny little town at the only mechanic for 1,000,000 miles. We just happened to be able to pull in there trying to fix this thing, and it was not able to be done. So Trev had to leave the car with Gino's mechanic shop and pick it up a few weeks later on a trailer. So yeah, it's always a pulley wheel.
Well, so it's funny you mention Rocco, because I'm really excited to hear about the adventures of Andy on the Alpine Ridge Rally 12 with Choco and Blocko and Rocco and Flocko and all your mates with your kangaroos and your didgeridoos. It's been a while. And Philby and who else? Who am I missing? There's someone I'm missing.
You're such a knob. Well, we did. So yeah, this time last week, I was leading the group on one of the most biblically wet sections of run I think we've ever done. So, classic Alpine Range Rally. We met on the Friday morning, as we always do. Friday we had sunshine all day, so it was stunning. And look, the good thing about the rally now is that the maps are pretty much cut and paste. I've really just kept refining, and I think I've managed now to just squeeze every last bit of juice out of the fruit in terms of putting the twisties in. We did, on day one, we did actually take a detour to a little town called Walhalla, which that road is quite short but super cool. And we used to do it in the rally, but I'd always felt it was too much with one of the second detours that we do. But actually, it worked really well. So day one was just intense, and it was 24 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit.
Who cares? I'm still a Celsius guy.
High 70. I don't know. Jeans and t-shirt weather. And we just had this incredible run, perfect weather. And the best thing is we stay in this little coastal town called Lakes Entrance. And the last part of the day, there's a bit of a, let's call it a transport stage, right? I think it's like an hour to get from the twisties to Lakes Entrance. But just before you get to Lakes Entrance, you turn off and there is this one little twisty run that happens. It only goes for, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes. But it's just, and you pop out of this twisty road and you're in Lakes Entrance. And it is the best way to finish that first day of rallying. Just phenomenal. So yeah, day one, amazing. Day two, we wake up, we roll out of Lakes Entrance at 7 o'clock. I'm in front and it is bucketing. And by the time we pull out of town, it's cats and dogs. So everyone always, whenever it's raining, everyone always wants me to lead because I'm in a Carrera 4. And actually, I've got to say, the recalcitrance of this group, we had 16 people, the willingness of people to drive at the front is very disappointing. I'll use this forum to say it because none of them are in front of me. But it was like constantly, who wants to go up front? Okay, I guess I'll go. And then there's Simon goes up front a lot. He's the only other air-cooled. There was Phil being air-cooled as well. But Simon goes up the front a lot too. And then Trev goes up the front, and so does Daz. And Trev and Daz, the reason nobody wants to go up the front is because if you're in front of Trev or Daz, it feels like you're just going to be holding them up. So, So the reason for that is Trev has a 996 GT3 that competed in, I think it got second outright in the Targa Tasmania back in the day. It was driven by a very well-known Australian racing driver named Tony Quinn, and it used to race in Nations Cup against Ferraris and all sorts of stuff. And Trev is a pretty handy steerer too. So if Trev's behind you, you know all about it. Daz drives a 944. So you'd be like, okay, well, we've got that covered. Daz could be driving a combi van and he would be quicker than everyone. He's just, he's just that guy. Yeah, just that guy. So anyway, so we roll out of Lakes Entrance. I've got Trev behind me and it is bucketing. And the one thing that was in my favour was my car's all-wheel drive and I'm on PS4S's. I think Trev was on some rather used semi-slick tyres, but somehow he was still right behind me all the way. So that was great. And we get to a little town called Omeo, have breakfast, and then we drive to this town called Midamida, and the road to Midamida is just incredible. At first, it's super tight and technical, really great for the little air-cooled cars, I got to say. And then it kind of opens up and it undulates and you climb for a while and then it's down and it's 60 kilometers of twisties.
Oh, nice.
And intense twisties. You get to the end and this town is this tiny little village with this amazing pub. And so you just have lunch and then you go and you do it all again. You do it in reverse. And doing it in reverse was one of the absolute highlights. I had this group behind me and it was funny. Simon was behind me. He's got this hot-rodded 911 SC and that thing's quick and he's very quick. And then we had Kale behind him in his 718 GT4. And I thought, I was doing a pretty good job with the pace and we get to one section and Kale jumps past me. There was some road work being done, so you had to stop for this metering traffic light. So we stop at this red light. Kale comes in front of me, and I thought, okay, fair enough. I thought I was going pretty quick, but that's okay. Well, he takes off when we get the green light, and I'm sticking with him, but we're climbing up hills, right? And so I am beating the absolute crap out of Little Green, coming out of tight hairpins in second gear, just red line. And of course, Kale's got this 4-litre GT4, so the torque, he just pulls away.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then I did have the opportunity. It was all dry at this point, by the way. And then I had the opportunity to actually swap cars with Kale and drive that 4-litre GT4. And I was shocked by what a difference there was between that and my 981 GT4.
Oh, really?
Oh, man, the torque on this thing, just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Fair to say I was looking at car sales for a 718 GT4 a week. And then, you know what? I think we rolled into town around 4:30, having done something like 500 Ks that day. And, I mean,
wow.
Straight roads that day would have been half an hour of driving.
Yeah, sure.
Seriously. And then Sunday, it rained a lot of Sunday, but what was really cool actually was that on Sunday there's really only 3 key twisties that we hit on the way home. And what would happen was you'd drive those twisties, it would be dry, and then it would bucket rain as you were driving to the next one. And then by the time you got to the next one, it had all dried up again.
Oh.
So we had an incredible run. But I don't know if you saw on my Instagram, my mate Erwin has a 991.2 GTS. Lovely car. Mm-hmm. And the day before the rally, he called me. He's like, hey, I've ripped my tyre. I need a PS4S. And I said, listen, give these guys a call. You should be able to get one. So he was able to, amazingly, because they're always pretty difficult to get. So he just was able to get a new tyre. So it was all great. And then on the last day, we're on the radio And we're driving the last road, and suddenly Erwin comes on the radio. He says, "I think I've got a flat." And then your mate Philby,
Yeah.
gets on the radio and goes, "Bloody hell, Erwin's got a bloody stick sticking out of his tyre."
No way.
I don't know why I just made Philby sound like Steve Irwin, because he could not sound less like Steve Irwin if he tried. Sorry, Philby. But anyway, so he had this stick. It literally looked like, I don't know, at the start of Raiders of the Lost Ark when he's running and they're all chasing him with the bows and arrows.
Yeah.
It looks like someone had done that in the side of his tyre. How this stick had managed to puncture and be left sticking out of this Pilot Sport 4S tyre, I'll never know. And of course, it's a GTS, so it's on center locks, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh my God, what are we going to do? So Fraz, our boy Fraz, Rocco, Fraz, Philby. Fraz rolls up.
Fraz and Daz, please tell me they're brothers.
They're not brothers. They're not. But
it's a missed opportunity.
Do you know what, though? They're both pretty handy. So Fraz rolls up with this puncture repair kit. And I'm looking at it thinking, hey, Fraz, I think this might be a little bit beyond said puncture repair kit. And then so he starts pulling the stick out of the tyre, and Philby says, "What are you doing? It's going to let all the air out." And it's like, well, you can't drive it with the stick in, mate. So Fraz pulls this stick out. The tyre does indeed deflate. So then Fraz has got this tyre repair kit. I don't know if you've ever seen these things. They're basically like little rubber noodles, and then you have like an old-fashioned corkscrew, and you just jam the noodles into the hole, and then Erwin had an air compressor. Use a razor blade to slice them off and clean them up. Fixed, sorted.
Yeah,
Erwin was able to drive home, no problem. I think he stopped a few times to check it was okay, but I just said that is incredible. I'm buying one of those kits this weekend to have in my car for when I do a rally. Unbelievable, lifesaver.
Well, look, you all sound like Steve Irvin to us over here, to be honest with you. So you didn't need to apologize for us for Philby.
Well, Philby lives in a place called Brighton, which is sort of known as one of the more hoity-toity suburbs of Melbourne. So he probably doesn't sound a lot like Steve Irwin, I've got to say. But I tell you this, and I'm sure I've said it before, I've had so many conversations this week about doing these trips and how important they are, and that the driving's incredible and experiencing the cars is phenomenal. That's brilliant. That kind of goes without saying. It's the conversations. I don't want to wax too lyrical, but the connection, all that stuff. You end up talking about mental health and all work challenges, life challenges, all these other things, right? And there's so much value in it. It was just awesome, absolutely awesome.
No, I totally agree, and in some respects, perfect segue to Tail of the Dragon, because I think this last trip to the Tail was maybe my favorite. I mean, and it was. I don't really remember too much about the driving, frankly, which is not to say we didn't have a good time, because we did. But the memories are really around, just like laughing and having like really silly talks and really deep conversations and a few beers and some barbecue. I mean, Michael was there, and Jay and Chris, and there's a newcomer to our group who we met a couple of years ago at Amelia Island, Christian, who's got this modded out 991.1. 991.2. It's black. It's got the full end-to-end soul. It's got the stage 2 tune. It's got the intercoolers. It's putting out like 700 and something horses. It's insane. And he's also just got himself a green 992, which is also modded out exactly the way. And such a nice guy. And Mark is there, of course, and Richie and so on. Obviously going to be forgetting a few people, but there's so much to be said about the friends you take on those kind of trips, and just the Porsche community in general. We've talked about that before. It's a really amazing place. But you said there were about 16 people. Is that a pretty big group for Alpine Range Rally? Because you try and control that, don't you?
Yeah, I do. So we got the group size is there's 20 people that are invited. And obviously, look, people reach out to me all the time and say, hey, can I come? Which is completely fair. I certainly understand that people would want to attend. It's weird, though, because it's not a club where, we're now just a group of mates. And those 20 who have been coming for a long time, I just always want to keep it open for them. But that's the most we could do. And so, the last couple have been a little smaller. People have had life challenges or, kids or all the sorts of stuff that gets in the way. So it's rare that we get everybody along. But 16 was definitely one of the bigger groups we've had for a minute. My mate Gerard, he'd had surgery on his foot 2 weeks earlier. So he couldn't drive, and he's got a manual 991.2 Carrera T. So we were really worried that he wasn't going to be able to make it. But then he borrowed a friend. This friend of his, what a great friend, just lent him a 997.2 PDK. So he was able to do it in that, although it was hilarious because he rolled up on day one, stunning white 997. It was gorgeous. But all weekend, everyone was saying, that car needs springs and spacers. Like, it was full stock ride height. And then Gerard's like, you want to drive it? It needs an exhaust because it sounds,
no, really?
It didn't even have the Porsche Sports exhaust. But it was a bigger group. But you know what? Because we've all been driving together so long now, I don't know if you find this, you kind of know how everybody drives, and based on your own mood, where you want to sit in the group at any given time. You might think, I just want to cruise a little bit. I might sit around with this person, or I'm happy to kind of push on a little bit. I might go behind them or in front of them. Do you know what I mean? You sort of get that rhythm.
Yeah, definitely. It's same with us. We know who likes to drive fast. We know who is going to take up a lot of time and needs to sit at the back and everything in between.
Yeah. I think it's funny, that one too, isn't it? Because the people we know like to drive fast, as you say. I've never asked them this, but, it's probably almost that thing where they like to drive fast, but it doesn't mean they need to every time. And they're probably also quite happy sitting behind someone else who's maybe going slightly slower than they would typically go, just in order to be able to look at 3 or 4 cars in front of them. Because that's one thing I find. If I'm leading a little bit, it's like sometimes I miss actually seeing that snake of cars in front of me and chasing someone else.
Definitely. Yeah, this time, not in Black Hills, but for Tail of the Dragon, I did try and hang back at the back this time because often I'm the one that leads a lot of the time. And it's partly because I wouldn't say I'm impatient, but I'm the one that
look at you, you're tailgating people. Unbelievable. You're that guy.
No.
The proctologist.
It's not that. It's like when we stop and take a break and take a photo, I'm the guy who's like, okay, everybody's taking a photo. Let's go. Get in the car. I'll turn the engine on. As opposed to the guys that will just happily sit there and chat, and all of a sudden you've lost an hour.
Yeah.
We've been here 10 minutes. I'm going to get in. I'm going to start revving, and I'm just going to pull off. And if people want to follow me, they can.
See, PJ, who organises our Tasmania rallies, he's a little bit like that. Suddenly you'll turn around and he's just driving off. Like, all right, I guess we're going. But do you know what, though? I think there is that thing of, I don't know, tell me if this is your feeling, you kind of manage the itinerary and the routes, right? So it's like you're keeping an eye on, hey, we've got to get to here by this time, so we do need to keep moving. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, we got to make it to lunch. We got to get back again. We're going to, do something this evening. Yeah, I'm often on the itinerary.
Do you know, I always take a good deal of pride in the fact that I break the itinerary down effectively enough so that I can book lunch at this pub at 12:30, knowing we'll roll into town pretty much bang on or thereabouts that time. And, once or twice we've had problems where someone's had a car issue or something and we're late, but we're pretty consistently good. But on the Saturday on this trip, because it was raining, the places we would usually stop, there are 2 stops that we would typically make in the morning. And you think, oh yeah, it's just a 5-minute stop, right? But it's not. It's actually half an hour by the time everyone walks around, has a chat, goes and waters some plants, and then comes back and jumps in their cars. And so we rolled into this town, Midamida, where I had a 12:30 booking for lunch. We rolled in at 11 o'clock. And everyone's like, what are we going to do? And I don't know. Well, we didn't talk on the side of the road because it was pissing rain. Let's just talk here. And actually, thankfully, the publican came out and he said, well, we opened at 11:30, so we had a nice early lunch.
That's nice. Hey, look, so this might be a silly question, but given that it rains a lot when you guys do these trips, have you not thought about doing it in a different season? And like, we're going to do this trip. We're going to book it in monsoon season. You know what? It rains. Shit. Yeah, I didn't think about that. I mean, you guys have got the summers that are like, 40 degrees, ball sweatingly hot. Come on, Andy.
Yeah, so Rocco and I have had this conversation so many times, man. And so the problem is, if you do it towards the back end of the year, once you're out of November, so December is the first week of summer, right? But if you wait into December, people have got Christmas things happening. It just becomes harder and harder to manage. So you go as late as you can. And to be honest, when we did this rally this time last year, number 10, it was like 35 degrees every day. It was hot as balls for the whole rally. And then the other one is we do one in March or April, and when we did it at the start of this year, it was great. We had incredible weather. Next year we're doing, we'll probably alternate and go back to Tasmania. So, yeah, you're right. It's Melbourne in late spring can just be dire, but December's too late and early spring's not possible, and then winter's definitely not possible. So,
Gotcha.
You take a punt, and I agree.
I told you it was going to be a silly question. I mean, you've done it 12 times, so you've obviously thought about that before.
Yeah, and we have had good weather. I think but not much. Like, it has been mostly pretty wet. I would say for 9 out of the 12, we've had, and not just wet, like just Dude, we're driving this road on the Saturday morning, and I was at front, and there were a few times I had to get on the radio and say, this left-hander's like super slippery. So I suppose the thing about doing that is you have to have the right wheels and specifically the right tyres, and you've just changed the wheels over on your 991.
I have. I've gone back to my my winter setup, which is the Carrera S rims that came with the car, and so I've got 3 sets of rims. And
3 sets?
Yeah, so the Carrera S rims came with it. I wanted to get a second set because of the winter-summer changeover, just to make it easier. So I got the RS Spider rims, which nice. I do really like. And then, of course, I got some Soul Performance rims last year, which I also used for winter rims. But as much as I love the Soul rims and I really love the Spider rims, every time I go back to what I consider in my mind just the boring, basic Carrera rims, I put them on the car and I stand back and I think, shit, they look so good. I like how they look. They really look good.
I mean, I messaged you, was it yesterday? Because I'd seen your Facebook post and I just thought, it looks so good. Silver wheels, the Carrera S wheels, just a really, really good look. Really good look.
You know, I've got to give you credit because I thought the first thing you were going to comment on was my factory ride heights, which I still haven't addressed. I've done all these mods to this car and I bought those lowering springs, 2 years ago, and they're still sitting in a box in my garage. And every time I walk into my garage, I think of you because I see that gap and I'm like, yeah, Andy wouldn't like that. Andy will comment on that.
What's the blockage? How do we, what's going on here psychologically? How do we address this?
It's a job I've just never attempted before, and because it's so core to the functioning of the car, I'm really worried about just screwing it up. Like, if you screw up an oil change, like, what's the worst that can happen? You have to pour more oil in. You have to get yourself a new, new filter if you don't put it in properly, or if you torque the drain plug, or changing an air filter. Even taking off the rear bumper, if I was to screw up the rear bumper, I could still drive it to the garage and get it fixed. But if I was to screw up any one of those suspension struts, it's just that, that's a tow truck that's got to be involved, or that's a $1,000 mistake. It's not $100 mistake. So that
is it $1,000 mistake though?
I don't know. I'm just like I'm forever procrastinating. But it's like doing the intercoolers. I wanted to do the intercoolers on my car, and it wasn't until I just recently did them on a 991.2 GTS in lava orange. And my friend Derek, oh my god, that car is dreamy.
Stunning.
So dreamy. Really well optioned car. But now I've done it on his car and I've done it on another car. Like, that doesn't bother me. I could just rock up, in my pajamas and I'll do your intercoolers, no worries. But the struts. Yeah. Did I say pajamas? I meant a Borat mankini. That's what I sleep in. But like, yeah, I think I'm just procrastinating. And I've watched that Tommy L Garage video he's done it.
Tommy's video shows it really well.
Look, I know, but yeah, I know.
Just take it to a garage. Just have them do it.
No, I'm not letting someone do the. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Are you though? Come on.
I will.
I know it's off-brand for you, but why don't you just do it? It'll cost you like $400.
But maybe it's a winter project. It was going to be the winter project. In fact, I know I'm going to blame John Gados at Soul Performance because that was going to be a winter project last year. And at the beginning of winter, that's when John called me up and was like, "Hey, do you fancy doing some installs on Soul parts? And I'll send you a bunch of stuff."
Was like, I feel like you've been doing exhaust installs for 2 years, dude. That wasn't just winter.
I suppose. But like, just looking back over the year, and I want to hear about your 964 as well and what's going wrong with it. But like, this year has been epic in terms of wrenching on cars.
Oh my god!
I've worked on my own car, so I've now got full end-to-end Soul Performance exhaust. I've got a stage 1 tune. I've got what else have I done to it? I can't remember, but it's now putting out like 500 and something horses, and it absolutely tears the street up. It is so powerful. I love it. Absolutely love it. So I've been working on that. I've worked on my friend Chris's GT3 Touring. I've worked on a 991.2 GTS. I've worked on another GT3, 991.2 GT3. All like pretty enjoyable jobs, like spark plugs, exhausts, spoilers, brake jobs, the intercooler job just recently. So I've really enjoyed myself in the garage, and actually I've been enjoying it so much that I've got all of this video footage for future videos waiting to be edited, and I just can't get around to it. So what's been going on with Little Green?
Well, hold on. So can we just talk about where you're at? What have you chosen now as the exhaust setup? And are you happy? I want to hear about it because I drove. So I'm going to tell you, my buddy Gerard has the Carrera T, as I said, and he bought a Sharkworks valved sports exhaust, so just to replace the factory sports exhaust. Mm-hmm. And I drove that, and he said to me, all the conversations we've had have been that there is a difference, but let's say it's subtle. It's certainly not a big change. I've driven the car since. It sounds great, but there's not a lot of volume in it.
Yeah.
What setup have you landed on, and what's it like?
So I've got the Soul Performance valved X-pipe, which is the equivalent of the valved, Porsche Sporter exhaust muffler.
Yep.
And that gives you that really transforms the sound, and you lose a bit of weight, but it does really nothing to the power. So you can sell it just by doing the valved X-pipe. You can really get a difference in the pops and the crackles, and just the, it's like a throatier kind of growl when you start it up and you accelerate and so on. So I've got that. I tested both the Cat bypass pipes as well as the the Sport Cats, and I landed on the Sport Cats. Just something about the pitch and the cracks and pops that you get with it. It's similar with the bypass pipes, but with the bypass pipes, the sound of the turbo spooling almost overpowers the sound of the pops and the crackles. Like it's just for me, it was a bit too much. I do like the louder turbo spools with the rest of the setup I've got, but man, it was a huge difference with those bypass pipes. Yeah, really big difference with the spooling, or the sound of the spooling. And then I've got the Sport Cats. So Sport Cats, the headers, the Sport headers, the Sport Cats, and the valved X pipe. So that's it, end to end. I think if the one thing I've been toying with is actually going back to the factory center muffler, because it sounds really good. It does sound good. It's not as growly and throaty as the X pipe, and maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but I think I was getting a little more pops and crackles in the downshifting with the factory center muffler than I was with the Soul muffler. But I could be wrong there. But the performance difference with the Cats, and especially the headers, is quite a lot. Yeah. You can tell it. Yeah, you can tell it in the throttle response. I think, on paper it says between the two of them you can get like an extra 20 to 30 horses altogether. Good luck. And I wouldn't, honestly, I'm not that kind of I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough to the difference between, a 400 or a 425 horsepower car. It's just a powerful car to me. But the throttle response is definitely better. And then add on top of that the Softronic tune. The car drives now like, I wouldn't say like a GT3, or I wouldn't say like a turbo, because obviously they're very different cars. But in terms of that, but dyno kind of feeling, the thrust, thrust, it's just incredible. It's a completely different car in that respect.
Wow. See, so just to go back to it, this idea of the ride height being a winter project, I think you're thinking about it wrong, because summer you're going to be driving around, you're probably going to go to your Porsche and pancakes thing, maybe there's some cars and coffee. That is the time where the stance is crucial. And it's not even a project for someone of your immense skill, your talent, your experience. This is a Saturday afternoon with a few beers kind of an exercise. You could be done today. You could do it today.
You think so?
Well, probably tomorrow, because I know it's Friday night where you are, but still, you could set up tonight, whip the wheels off tomorrow morning, and be done.
Maybe.
Be cruising around with people's heads turning, going, "Look at that guy. He's cool."
Well, when you put it like that, no, I don't think so. But maybe. The other part of it is, I think I'm not sure I bought the right product. Like, I bought these H&R lowering springs on a whim, and I'm wondering actually if I should have maybe thought about it and put some more into like a proper, set of Öhlins or Bilsteins, something which isn't just $400 and you just slap it on.
Do you know, everyone I know who's done lowering springs on the factory shocks has had no problem, because to go to Öhlins or KW or something like that is that's a really expensive upgrade. And I think Porsche's suspension is actually incredibly well dialed as it is. So I don't think you need to do that. The only thing I would say, and I don't know if this is the case for 991s or not, my understanding is that the H&R lowering, you kind of got H&R or you've got Eibach lowering springs. Everything I've ever read is that people have found with the Eibach lowering springs, they tend to just be a little more compliant, whereas doing the H&R springs, they tend to just be a little harsher in the ride quality. So I've heard. I can't speak to that with any real authority, but I'm pretty sure they tend to have a slightly softer spring rate with the Eibach. So if you're putting them on a stock setup, they probably retain the stock feel. While having the lower ride height. So
gotcha.
Which means I've just probably given you an out. But
well, so my winter plans were lowering springs. I want to get my steering wheel refurbished. I'm going to send it down to Carter Customs in Texas, and I want to have yellow deviated stitching on, because you know what I'm like with deviated stitching with refreshed leather. I want to swap out I'm on the fence. I've thought about doing yellow seatbelts instead of my black seatbelts to tie in with the other yellow accents.
Yeah.
So that's kind of on the list of things. I don't know what else. Maybe that's enough. I'm not sure.
It's looking pretty good. It's got you can tell it's an enthusiast's car now. It's not, it's not dentist spec. It's not your daily driver. You've done a good job of making it look like it's the weekend fun car.
I appreciate it. Thanks, man. And I've resisted putting a wing on it because I'm always tempted with wings. Always.
No. Just say no to wings.
Yeah.
Just say no. Absolutely not. I mean, I think, don't get me wrong, a GT3 with a wing, no problem. Yeah. But no wing on a Carrera, just blah.
That was the one thing I said to myself when I got this car. I'm going to stick with the silhouette. I'm not going to put a wing on it, and I haven't.
No.
And I haven't been tempted either. But every time I see Chris's GT3 Touring, I see that little sexy lip on the back, and I think I could have that.
Yeah, you can have that. You can have that.
And then my friend Christian with the green 992, he's just put the factory aero kit on his 992 GTS.
Right.
And I like it. But no, I'm not going to go there.
Yeah.
But I am tempted with that little touring lip every now and again.
Yeah. I mean, this is a little gurney. That's all right. That's okay. If they can work it on a touring, that's cool. But yeah, I think, I don't know. I don't like wings on anything other than a GT3.
And even having said that, I've got to the point now where the Auto Amateur James from 5 years ago would have already slapped that GT3 Touring lip on the back. Today's Auto Amateur James says it's not a GT3. Don't put that lip on the back. It's just a Carrera. Love it for being a Carrera.
Yeah, 100%. And a highly, highly capable car that you've made even quicker, you've made even better. There's nothing that car can't do. Love it as is.
Now, carbon fiber, that's the day for it. It's a conversation.
Carbon fiber and deviated stitching.
Yeah, baby. So what about Little Green? Tell me about Little Green.
Little Green's good. I mean, I had a service right before the rally. I thought, this is great. I'm not trying, because what always happens, or inevitably happens for me, is that a week out from the rally, there's something catastrophic on Little Green that I'm trying to solve. It'll have given me trouble-free motoring all year, and then the week before the rally, something comes up. Right? Yeah. It's just absolute clockwork. And yeah, this rally was no different. I took it into Stu at 9 Auto for just a service. There was nothing untoward in that service, but the one thing I did ask him to look at was that the lower sill cover on the driver's side had just come away. Now, this is really common on a 964, right? There's just these little tabs, these little plastic tabs, and they break off, so you have to replace them, and then you just push it back in. It's not really a particularly difficult job. But when I got it back, he said, hey, the rear sill cover, which is the sort of shark fin shaped one, was lifting off. And he said, I think this one's actually broken. And by the time I got it home, it was like hanging off basically. And I'll share a photo with you later on. But it was just flapping about. And I thought, well, I can't have it like that on the rally. So what do I need to do? Apparently it's very common. So I said, what do I do? Do I just replace the little plastic tabs? And he said, no, it's actually the sill cover itself is broken. So you need to replace that, paint it, reinstall. And I'm like, well, I'm not gonna do that before the rally. So what compromise solution can I find? So I got some JD Weld plastic glue and glued the two tabs and then just used a clamp to clamp it on, right? I'm thinking, this is great. I've got it sorted. I don't have a really good track record when it comes to gluing plastic. Like,
Me too.
Dude, I've done interior trim bits where I keep adding the JD Weld and then it just goes gooey and it never sets and it never actually works, right? So, and the other thing that was working against me was that it's a curved piece of plastic that when it is attached at the base and at the top, it's actually bending it. Yeah. So as you're gluing it, it wants to pull away. Mm-hmm, so, of course, eventually it pulled away. So I'm messaging Gerard, my 964 buddy, and he's like, why did you do it like that? You need to take it off. And I'm like, yeah, okay, good call. So I took it off, and then you could just see what was hilarious was the two tabs where the glue goes. You could see clearly it has been glued 20 times previously.
Really?
Previous owners have just glued this. It's lasted 3 years and they've gotten on with their lives. And I thought, well, you know what? I've had it a long time. It's clearly lasted with glue. I think I can make it last again with glue. I don't think I need to replace it. So I did. I was just meticulous. I took it off. I glued it. I sat it in the sun to let that glue really set. I had it clamped while it was setting. I put it back on the car, and sure enough, it has stuck. It's lasted, so we're okay. So I mean, look, worst case on the rally, I was thinking if it comes off on the rally, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to undo the rear tab, which creates a hole in the main bodywork, and I was going to drill a hole in the actual sill cover, figuring that fuck it, it's dead anyway, and then just cable tie that thing. So I would have had a visible cable tie holding it on my car, and I'm like, at that point, I don't care.
Well, I'm the guy that was driving through these incredible roads across the prairies 2 years ago, I think, or 3 years ago in Bluey, when we were coming back from the first Black Hills trip, and somebody told me that one of my under panels was flapping on the bottom of the car.
I thought you were going to say one of your underpants was flapping.
Well, that always happens. I was the guy that pulled over to the side of the car. Everybody was getting out thinking about how he could fix it. And without even having any discussion, I just reached under the car, yanked the entire underbottle panny off. Yanked
underbottle penny.
I know. I yanked that.
Would they be on the Auto Amateur store, underbottle pennies?
That's exactly right. I yanked that thing off and just put it on the side of the road. And so somewhere in the middle of Nebraska, there is this, 4x4 kind of size piece of plastic that I just pulled off the car. I was like, fuck it, lads. We're done. Get in. Let's go. Let's keep driving. It was awesome. But, I see those, social media, kind of reels of people using glue and braces or clamps or those plastic welding kind of kits. And I'm like, wow.
Staple kits?
It's like you can fix all of these amazing things. Whenever I try it, it's like, Pinterest failed. It's too much glue. It's not quite in the right place. No, it's not hanging on properly. And I end up just throwing it away. I'm like, fuck it. I don't need it.
That's me with the center console in my car. It has this one bracket that is decidedly fragile, and you see them everywhere for sale, and the bracket's broken. But I've tried to fix it 5 times, and every time I do, I just end up with half set, the glue that's kind of soft but sticky.
Yeah.
I'm just overdoing it clearly, but I have no idea what I'm doing. So I did wonder, I think we spoke about it in our very detailed show notes yesterday, about discussing in detail an in-depth analysis of Porsche's current profit situation. So I understand you've pulled together a PowerPoint presentation that you're going to take me through.
No, you know what I did? I didn't use ChatGPT. I didn't do my own research. I watched Jay Reed's recent video. And he does a fantastic job. He does a fantastic job of parroting back whatever he has Googled and put into a video.
So yes, tell me what did Jay say? Jay can be our oracle.
All right, Jay can be our oracle, and I'm going to do a horrible job of paraphrasing and probably get it wrong. But from my understanding, a big part of it is that they're shifting strategy because the EV market is cool.
EVs are bombing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it's like down under, but over here in the States, people are driving them, but if you believe the stats that Jay's talking about, at least the market here is cooled. Porsche has put a bunch of investment in that, which they're now sort of pulling back from, as well as trying to keep all of their combustion engine kind of lines going. So I think to sum it up, it's probably that is one huge contributing factor. The shift in EV strategy and the market cooling. And from what I understand as well from Mr. Reed, the Chinese market, which has kept them going massively over the last however many years, that's also come to a bit of a halt, especially so in this last. And then maybe one other, which is, I don't know about Trump and his tariffs, but that kind of helped. I don't really, know too much about that, but that also kind of helped. So Porsche found themselves in this little sort of sticky situation. But from what I understand, if they've lost a bunch of operating profit, what does that mean for their? I don't know. What does that mean for their reserves? What does that mean for the revenue they're going to pull down over the next few years? Presumably, they're going to be doing a bunch of restructuring. They're probably going to be laying people off to a degree. But is it just a shock value headline? Or does it really matter to the company? I don't know enough about economics really to have an opinion on it.
You've got to think that if your profits have gone down by 90%, that there are negative outcomes associated negative outcomes such as layoffs and that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. I know they are gonna roll back some of these. Some of the investments they've made and the directions they've set, they will roll those back. But there's still a massive cost associated with it because I do know that in the Chinese market, what has happened is the bottom has fallen out of the luxury EV side of things, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you've bet really heavily on that becomes a real problem. And in fact, that's a problem globally because at the end of the day, why would I spend $300,000 on a Taycan when I can get a BYD for $60,000? Now I know they're very different markets. I understand the buyer for those two cars is different, but nothing is going to depreciate as fast as an EV. So it's a massive, massive problem.
Have you looked at the Taycan used market prices? I was amazed. Like you can pick up. Not the turbo versions, but you can pick up the Taycan 4 or whatever the entry model is now. It's like $20,000 US, $25,000 US.
$20,000 US.
Yeah, isn't that incredible? I actually thought at one point maybe I'll just trade in the Cayenne and just check this out for a while because it's so cheap. I mean, they're not all that low, but we're talking like probably $20,000 US on the very lowest end to a mid-range model with a couple of years on it and a couple of 20, 50, 30,000 or whatever. We're talking about maybe $50,000 US. But considering a few years back they were going for 120, 130, 140 US, that's insane. That's a huge dent.
And look, this is the problem with EVs and particularly luxury EVs. It's like, some people do, I suppose, but EVs are an appliance. And by that I mean that because they are largely, they're still in their growth phase with respect to the technology and the range and all of these things, right? So buying a second-hand one is a bit like buying a used iPhone.
Right.
Like an iPhone 10. You're just not going to do that.
Yeah.
And whereas I know I can buy a 30-year-old Porsche or any brand for that matter, and that car's going to keep going.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the psychology of it is that there's a little bit of a sense of there's a disposability around these products until they've reached this kind of development plateau that internal combustion engine cars have reached. So, I think there's still plenty to play out. The thing that I'm excited about and optimistic about is that I'm reading a lot, and I don't know if this is confirmed yet, but that Porsche have shelved the idea that the Cayman and Boxster platforms will be EV only, and that there will be an internal combustion engine version. I think there's still going to be an EV version.
Yeah.
But, oh man, that one was always one I struggled with because I figure, first up, use hybrid technology. They're using that in the turbo. They're using that in the GTS. Yeah. It's brilliant. Yeah. I got no problem with that.
Yeah.
But I always figured if you look at the world's response to the 4-cylinder 718 Cayman and Boxster, and the outcry over the sound of those cars compared with the outgoing 6-cylinder versions, it was like, this car's great, it does everything right, but the sound is terrible, it's destroyed it. You know, those cars you can pick up so cheap because in spite of how good they are, people just don't rate the sound. So then imagine taking that and doing an EV version of it. Unless you build in, you know, kind of goofy tricks like, hey, you've got a set of factory sounds, like, you know, you can have a 917K, or you can have a 962, or you can have
an
a
F1
993 GT2. Yeah, that's right. Unless you do goofy stuff like that, who is the enthusiast that's going to buy the EV Cayman or Boxster?
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful there's an engine coming.
I think it's teenage YouTube millionaires. There's actually a kid that my son Adam watches on YouTube, he honestly looks about 12 years old, but he's driving a Taycan Turbo in his latest video. So he must be old enough to drive. But I think there's the demographic for you right there. YouTube millionaire nerd kids.
And there's so many of them.
So we're going to be wrapping up soon. I want to hear about the topic we said we'd leave to the last, because I don't know how controversial this is going to be, but you let the kid who's riding your daughter ride your car.
That's not cool. That's not cool at all. That hurts more than when I let him drive the car.
I've been waiting 24 hours to say that.
Hey, fuck.
I'll edit that out if you want me to. But yeah, tell me about your daughter's boyfriend who's been driving you. Like, what on earth possessed you to give anyone under the age of 20 odd the keys to your car? No less some dude who's going out with your daughter. Like, are you feeling okay? Have you had a stroke?
Okay. Well, first of all, he's older than 20. He's a car guy, so definitely got that going for him. Nice kid. And
is he driving a Honda Civic?
You know what? He did roll up in a Honda Civic a few days ago.
God.
But he's actually. I feel like Chris Cluel would love him because he seems to have a different car every 2 weeks. He's had an older BMW. He had this Civic Type R, which I think he's actually getting.
Did he steal?
Eventually, I think he's swapping that for his car. No, he's got a Golf GTI. So he's a car guy, which is great. And anyway, so he was around at our house. I said, let's go for a drive on Sunday morning. So he jumps in the car. We go for a drive. That was great. He was enjoying it. He didn't say so, but I'm sure he was probably underwhelmed by the 260 horsepower of my 35-year-old 964. But anyway, I got on it here and there, drove some twisties, and showed him a little bit of what the car can do, and that was great. And then we just pulled into this town, and I thought, let's let him have a drive. Why not? Like, the car's insured. It doesn't matter. He's not on his P plates, which is, where you have some restrictions. So, why not let him have a drive? I know he can drive a manual. So he got in and had a drive. I was fine. I was not nervous. He probably drove a little closer to some cars than I would have. I like to leave more of a, let's say, space cushion. But no, it was great. I think he enjoyed it. We got to a faster road, and I'm like, all right, I'll take it from here. But
you're a good man. You're a good man, Charlie Brown. I'm not so sure I would have done that. Having said that, when my godson came over from Germany last summer, I gave him the keys to the 911, just like wholeheartedly, and the Cayenne. He's like 25 years old. And my other godson, Jamie from the UK, I also gave him the keys to the car. So yeah, maybe I was a little harsh there, Andy. Maybe you are.
And do you know the
guy.
other thing? Yeah, well, here's the other thing, right? It's an underpowered all-wheel drive 911, so it's hard for him to get in too much trouble with it. unless he just doesn't know how to drive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like if you can drive a manual, you can drive that car, and you can feel some of its driving dynamics, and that's what he got. Like I say, he didn't say so, but I'm sure he was probably a little underwhelmed by the power. But no, it was great. It was good fun. It was really good fun.
I think this is a topic that's pretty sensitive for me. It's close to my heart in many ways because, I have a daughter. She's only 4. And I'm dreading her growing up to the age where she has boyfriends. My friend Chris, we mentioned before, Catman Chris, his daughter Madeline, last year of high school, and she's got a boyfriend. And, I like to joke him a little bit about what's that like. But I've been seeing these videos on TikTok recently, and it's all the same guy doing it. And the caption is, I've told my girlfriend's son I'll do to him whatever he does to her. And it's like, it's like they're sitting around watching TV together and he's holding his hand. And he just looks really, really uncomfortable. And the dad's there holding his hand. Or they're in a Christmas party and he's got the boyfriend sat on his knee and he's like putting his arms around him. I don't know. It's weird times, dude. Weird times.
Mate, no one will ever be good enough for your daughter. That's the truth of being a dad with a daughter. But
good enough to drive you 964.
Yeah, 100%. And I hope he enjoyed it.
So we're going to wrap this little number up by talking about a video of the week that I have not seen. So Andy, tell me about this video.
Have you not seen it? Okay, so Haggerty just did a new video celebrating 50 years of the 911 Turbo.
Oh, and nice.
I mean, I love Haggerty stuff anyway, right? You got Jason Camisa. He's the main host of this video. Camisa's awesome. Our boy Henry Catchpole shows up towards the end. Jeff Zwart, Patrick Long, like just all of the Porsche people that you just love are in this video. And it's just great. Look, they kind of talk through the whole lineage. They're driving everything from, the original 930, which, mid-70s, what is it, 75? And he talks about that car must have seemed like a rocket ship in the time.
At the time,
just an absolute rocket ship. And then even talking about the turbo lag and actually demonstrating what that looks like.
Oh, really?
And, yeah. And it's incredible. He's talking, and this is it's a little bit. There's maybe some creative license in it, but he's got his foot to the floor talking, saying, "Yeah, still nothing," and then there's this sudden, absolute burst of acceleration.
Yeah.
But then it goes all the way through to you see Patrick Long driving a 964 Turbo S, crazy. They drive, what does Zwart drive? A 997 GT2, just, absolute widowmaker. Really, really, really cool. And just all these ace cars. And then it finishes with Catchpole driving the new Turbo S, clearly in Germany. And gorgeous production. I mean, you watch the credits at the end and, they had something like, 30 people work on this thing.
Oh, wow.
So it's not like a couple of YouTubers just going out and shooting on their own.
Yeah.
But, they did one a little while ago, I think, called Giants or Racing Giants, or they might be Giants or something, which was all about Porsche and endurance racing. So this was the same kind of film, but all about the 911 Turbo. And it's, if you want half an hour of really high quality, great Porsche viewing on YouTube on your 4K TV that feels not like a YouTube show, but it's like some kind of documentary.
Yeah,
I highly, highly encourage you to check it out.
I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
Well, buddy, Merry almost Christmas. If you celebrate
and
that.
To you. Yeah, and to everybody listening, thanks for tuning in. Do you know what? It's funny because I messaged James the other day and said, "I miss you, bro," and I'm not even kidding. And because this is sort of the only time we talk, right?
Yeah. So we catch up on life and talk Porsche at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah,
everybody's witnessing our friendship in real time, including me tagging you and you tagging me on Instagram. But yeah, this is a great way to take out the year, and I hope you have a great time over the holidays. Watch that boyfriend-in-law. He feels suspicious to me. Anyone driving a Honda Accord, I'm immediately suspicious of. But yeah, love to the family, man. And thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch you in the next one.
Thanks, gang.